Snapon Tuner here. Today I've got some M12. What do I mean about M12? Well, they're power tools. We got I might as well just have to explain the M12 real quick. I gotta stop and on the fly show you the difference. So I just wing all these things. Eventually when I get more subscribers, I'll actually make myself a script or something. But first we got the M12. It's 12 volt. The M12s are gonna have a slim battery like this, or it's gonna have a little bit of an overhang. Of course, the bigger ones these stand for amp hours. So the 1.5, there's a lot more that goes to the batteries. The XC, the HD. This is a big boy. This is the biggest battery they make. This is M18. It's 18 volt. So the stuff that slides on like this, that's completely different stuff. We're not talking about this in this video. We're talking about M12, 12 volt. And I've got these hand tools right here. Of course, I don't have all of them. I'd love to have all of them, but I don't need all of them. They make way too many. Not too many. There can't be too many. They make a lot. And I don't need all the different things, all the different circular saws and all that kind of stuff. But I continue to buy as much as I can afford and as much as I think is reasonable for me to attain, because I am addicted to tools, because I don't have retirement. The tools pay the bills, and sometimes I buy tools and I don't even know what I'm doing with it until I have it, and then I just explore it and I use it and then I find a purpose for it, and then I start loving it because it's a tool and it makes me money. Tools are just awesome. I mean, come on, if any man should have a love affair with tools. Now, let's get to talking back about these M12s, these Milwaukees. I picked Milwaukee because you gotta pick a lane and stick with it. The other stuff's probably good. Makita and DeWalt, those are probably good. I'm sure there's others out there that I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. But, you know, Milwaukee has... First off, the reason why I picked Milwaukee is because I gotta show you this too. It looked to me like Milwaukee and Snapon had something going on. It appears to me that the Snapon stuff is made by Milwaukee, but I don't know for sure. If someone knows, they can tell me. I haven't done too much research into this. They're both 18 volt. There's no real telling. I just looked at these things and I was like, you know what? I think that's probably Milwaukee stuff. Kind of like this Sawzall. Looks a lot like the Milwaukee Sawzall. And this stuff costs way too much. The Snapon stuff, look, Snapon does not make this. They don't, I don't know for sure, but I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say, they don't make this. They have someone else make it, and then they put their little label on it, and then they charge you a lot of extra money for it because it's got that expensive label on it. So this stuff is still quality and it's still expensive, but it's not rebranded in an even more expensive name to go put on the tool truck. So anyway, these are my M12 tools. This is the one I just got in the mail today, and that's what inspired me to make this video. I just got done spending about $240 for this thing. This is a fuel. There's a difference between the M12 regular tools and the M12 fuel tools. So right here, these are two fuel ratchets. This is my regular fuel ratchet. It's a 3/8 drive. So you'll notice the difference right here. We got an extended neck. It's a longer reach. You can get in there and get to places easier with this long neck. Most of the time you don't need that. Most of the time this will work. But now, for instance, on getting bell housing bolts out of the transmission, this thing won't fit in a couple spots because this thing has a bigger head on it. It's a big beefy fuel tool. Fuel. This is your standard 3/8. It's not fuel, it's basic. It still has variable speed. It probably doesn't have as much torque. if you'll notice the heads, this one is a lot slimmer. Now I wouldn't put as much torque on. For instance, you can break bolts loose and then you can get them loose with the electric action. I would suggest to do that most of the time anyway. It takes a little bit less stress off the tool. But you're gonna be able to break a lot heavier duty stuff loose with this one rather than trying to break it loose with that tiny head. And also, like I said, it's got more torque. But they've got their place. This skinnier head, believe it or not, this skinnier head fits in places that this big fat head will not fit into. So you gotta have the different styles. Now, I'm missing one of the batteries. That's another thing I need to address, because they do sell cheap aftermarket batteries, but both of the cheap aftermarket batteries, you're gonna drop these eventually. And the case is exploded on the cheap ones. So that was the first thing, but also they didn't last but a few charges. So if you think you're saving money buying those little cheap off-brand batteries, don't. You're wasting money. Not only that, you're throwing your money away. So just buy the expensive stuff, the name brand stuff. And not only that, you have to buy it from a reputable source. Because like I say in all my videos, you can have the same exact thing. It can look perfect, it can have the labels on it, it can have all this other stuff, but it can be fake. It can be counterfeit. That's what I mean by fake. Counterfeit means they package it just like it's supposed to look, they put all the labels on it, and then they sell it as legit, but it's not. It's fake. And if you don't think that that's happening, just watch some of my other videos. I'm gonna be talking about counterfeit parts, counterfeit things all the time, because there's a market in China that's so huge it's not even funny. They've realized that they can't just knock off stuff and make a different brand. They have to actually counterfeit it. That's how they can, because people are starting to learn that all the Chinese stuff is junk. Not all of it. A lot of the good manufacturing stuff does happen in China. They have higher standards, but also that's the biggest place that you can get junk from. So then we have our quarter drive. Now, I've got two 3/8 drives and 2 quarter drives. So I've got a fuel in a 3/8 and a regular in a 3/8, and my fuel in my quarter drive is a long one, and then I've got a regular quarter drive. So I would like to get an extended 3/8, but it's not really that important. I don't have to get everything. If you were to only get one of these ratchets, I would probably suggest to get this one, the cheapest one, the quarter drive, because this just speeds up time. What you can do is you can bust loose all of your fasteners by hand. It's actually smarter to do it that way anyway, because then you know you're not going to strip anything out. And then you can just go follow up all your fasteners by either loosening them or tightening them. Tightening them, you can tighten almost anything with this. Most of the time stuff is stuck in there too tight because it's just in there from corrosion, from age, from rust. Most of the time you don't need very much torque to put it in, and then by the time you put it in, you can give it a little bit more torque because it's a ratchet, right? So then I just got 2 more here. Now, I don't know for sure if these are supposed to be the same thing. They're probably not. But this is your basic, just like nut driver, screwdriver. It's nothing. It's basic. It's not a fuel. This right here is fuel. So on the fuel, I have 3 different power settings. I've got actually 4. I've got 1, 2, 3, and just a regular drill driver. So those are your hammer type. See, 1, 2, 3. It's nice to have that whenever you want to actually torque something. I can get in there and torque a cylinder head down on 1, and then I can move it to 2, and then I can torque it down by hand with a torque wrench or whatever. I don't necessarily need to follow the instruction manuals all the time. I kind of have a feel for everything now, and I understand that pisses some people off, but when you've been doing stuff for so long, sometimes you just know what you're doing. So I use this just for running the bolts, running regular bolts in. Just all the time I can just run bolts in with this. I can do the same thing with this, but it's just nice to be able to keep this at a certain setting or to keep a certain bit in it. I can keep a certain bit in this. It's nice to have extras because I can grab this for one thing and this for another thing. I can grab this and have my tightening bit in it and just keep it with the same bit or whatever. These are quarter drive shanks, by the way. So you can put this quarter drive shank in it and put whatever socket in it that you want. See, for instance, this is a T30 bit in my quarter drive shank. So very versatile. You can put 3/8, half-inch drive. Of course, you're not going to do too much with a 3/8 or a half-inch drive with either one of these. Now this one will take out some 3/8 drive. I do have an M18 fuel impact driver, and I use that for the big stuff. It's still only a quarter drive shank, but not only that, if I have to move up to something bigger, I've got the 3/8 M18, or actually there's the Snapon stuff is what I have for 3/8. I'm gonna eventually move into all Milwaukee stuff, and whatever I have with Snap-on will just be my extra things. I'll just use those in the car or whatever, on the road. We'll put it that way. So if you enjoyed my little tool explanation, if it helped you out on some purchasing decisions, then give this video a like or thumbs up, or both.